Now let's talk about, you have an amazing team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've met quite a few people on your team. They are exceptional. We've worked with them. Tell me about kind of onboarding in your situation and pulling it together and just being like, here, I am now the new leader, but let's move this together.
You bet. You know, one of the things that I think I've learned over the years is sometimes we get caught up in organizational structure. You know, there's supposedly a perfect org chart for how everything's supposed to align that creates this just dynamic work environment for everything. And sometimes that's the case. But I think more often than not, it's about the individuals that you have on your team and their strengths and maybe some of their weaknesses that you know can become strengths for them. And so that's one of the things that I've always tried to do is try to understand those strengths of the individual team players and then try to put them in a position where they have a better opportunity to succeed. And as those wins start to accumulate for them, that's when it becomes a little bit easier to maybe stretch them a little bit more and see how they operate and function in a stretch environment. But part of that is you have to trust them, and you have to make sure you've got people that you can trust. I mean, when I'm interviewing folks, I mean, I'm always looking for the technical experience, and I want them to be solid in their knowledge and skill set. But for me, I tend to focus a little bit more on just personality fit with me, as well as with the overall team, because I think that culture and that fit oftentimes can be more powerful than maybe a little edge in technical experience. We all can learn things. We all can go in and improve our technical skill sets. But our ability to communicate, our willingness to collaborate, and our willingness to take criticism at times too, can often be more powerful in the business environment.
We just read the book Radical Candor, and they talk about this need to generate active, critical, critiques, like that, being able to accept feedback, but you as the leader being able to say, no, you need to be critiquing, including me.
Exactly.
So positioning that
There's
hard.
a great podcast that I just listened to as well, one TED Talk from Adam Grant.
Okay.
And he talks about an environment of a business. I can't remember the specific details on it, but they ended up calling it radical transparency. And, you know, there's an instance where everybody, including the top of the ladder there, receives radical, transparent criticism. There was one experience where there was an employee that sent an email to the CEO after a meeting stating, hey, that meeting was an F. You were terrible. It was obvious you weren't prepared. And it was a waste of our time. Mm-hmm. And it created an environment. Now, I'm not suggesting that we do that. And I'm not suggesting that's how it is in our environment. But you can tell that there are folks that thrive on that. And that's something for me. I mean, I'm lucky to have some great mentors, some great friends that have helped me throughout my career. And that's my best way to kind of learn and progress, is to search that out and say, what do I need to do? Early on in my career, it was tough. I don't think I had thick enough skin to do that. But if we as individuals in the workplace are willing to accept constructive feedback and criticism on there, and there's a better way to approach it, I think, than the TED Talk that I'm referring to, then it's amazing how quick some of the barriers can be broken down, and how you can focus on really what your goals and tasks are at hand.
Right. Yeah. I would say that maybe don't send that to the CEO direct. But in that same book, they talk about that having a meeting where you skip, it's called a skip level meeting, where you get to meet with someone that's not your direct manager, but the one before that. But it's all a practice. Because it's the habit. And I don't know why we're all so afraid of feedback.
Sure.
I mean, I still kind of clench a little bit when I'm like, I know it's coming.
Yeah.
I know I need it.
Sure.
Because that's where like it opens up the project that I'm trying to put out there in its best iteration.
Sure.
But I mean, why are we so afraid of it?
It's true. And it's our natural tendency, right? And to your point, I think that's something that I've tried to do later in my career too with the step, what did you call it? The step? Skip level meetings is I've finally gotten to the point where I have 5 or 6, I think, direct reports. But I've also got 30 different people that work in my department. And I've made it a point that it's not always easy with schedules, but I've made it a point to meet with every one of them on a somewhat regular basis. And the focus of it is, hey, what can we do as a department to be better? What are you seeing? Because sometimes there's a nervousness too to even bubble that, let's not call it criticism, but ideation up through the ranks. And so I think we as leaders owe it to the organization and to our employees to give them an opportunity in a safe environment to say, hey, what can we do better? Because if we're not striving for something better, we're staying stagnant, and it's just not a comfortable place for many of us.